really fucking matter. There's like 4 things that matter, and they really fucking matter. I mean, objectively, I mean, you should care, especially you, if you thought about it for 5 fucking minutes.
Welcome to episode 48 of the Outer Voices podcast. We are your hosts, Keem and Esme.
Yay!
Hey, welcome back, everybody. We are coming off of another killer week. Oh, another hectic week. Yeah,
bad.
I did not.
Bad.
That was completely incidental. Yeah, it has been a roller coaster week for pretty much everyone. Just, my lord, it's been a hell of a week. And today's show hopefully is going to be pretty short because we actually have a lot to do. Some of us are working on a legal brief. Others of us are going to see a certain movie.
Going to see Black Panther. Going to see I'm excited.
Which... for our listeners, if we will be discussing that in depth next
week, because I knew that there was no way that I was going to be able to see it, and I was right. There's no way that I was going to be able to see it in time for this week's show.
So, be on the lookout for that. Be on the lookout for that discussion.
Yeah, with a special guest.
Yeah, with a special guest.
With a special guest who we've had on before.
So should be a great show.
Yeah.
So yeah, today's gonna be a pretty short show.
Keep it snappy.
So we're gonna move straight, like no buffers. We're gonna go straight into the news segment. A news segment is just gonna be one story and a short little side thing, and we're gonna go right through it.
Okay.
And my news story for the week, it's actually from Monday. I think it's from the weekend, but the story is from Monday. Attorney General Jeff Sessions, and I just noticed this morning. Jeff Sessions sounds like a shitty rock band's side project, like the Jeff Sessions.
Although I guess it's better than saying his whole name, which makes him sound like what he actually is.
Racist. It was like
Jefferson Beauregard Sessions.
Is there a name that's
his first name is Jefferson?
There's not a he has the perfect slave owner name. Mm-hmm. I'm Jefferson Beauregard Sessions.
Right. Like if somebody were writing a book about it, wasn't that sounds like it should have been the name of the one guy in Kindred, right?
Yeah,
that's what this is. This is anyway.
Well, speaking of him being a slave owner, it goes right into the story. So Jeff Sessions, in a speech he was given to law enforcement officials in Washington, invoked during his speech what he called the Anglo-American heritage of policing in this country.
Now you have to break this one down for me, because I've been avoiding. For personal reasons, I have been avoiding the news this week. I knew that I was not going to be able to handle it, and I was right. This week was a really good week for me to not be paying attention to the news. So I have no idea what you're talking about, but it sounds horrifying.
I'll give you exactly what he said. I'm gonna do an accent on this one. I want to thank every sheriff in America. Since our founding, the independently elected sheriff has been the people's protector, who keeps law enforcement close to and accountable to the people through the elected process. The office of sheriff is a critical part of the Anglo-American heritage of law enforcement. We must never erode this historic office.
That's not suspicious at all.
And here's the thing.
Anglo-American heritage of law enforcement. Which, I mean, he's not wrong. Like, if you look at what law enforcement is and does, like, he's not wrong.
He's not wrong. But, you know, most people don't. See, African Americans, we understand that law enforcement is the legal strong arm of the white power structure. We understand that. And that's why we say, fuck the police. But with that being said, you don't just say it. Like, it used to be some measure of discretion when it comes to talking about how racist law enforcement is in the country. But now our AG she's all on it.
I'm
even
come
more
down
so
on the side of this is a good thing, though, right? Like, now at least everybody is speaking the same language, right? Right? Like, white supremacists have known for a long time that that law enforcement is the means by which they enforce their power. And people of color have known for a long time that law enforcement is the means by which white people enforce their power. The people who didn't know it are the well-meaning, like, moderate, like, oh, I'm not racist white people. And they had no idea, right? Or at least, like, either like, are basically, like, willfully ignorant of this reality, right? And I'll fully admit, I was that for a long time, right? I never thought about it. It didn't occur to me, like, because I had no reason to, personally. Like, I had no personal reason to. But now, like, with people coming out and saying shit like that, like white people coming out and saying shit like that, I feel like it's going to get harder and harder for those well-meaning people in the middle to keep their heads buried in the sand and deny that this is actually what's going on.
Well, and I was just going to say something to speak to that. They actually tried to bury, because here's the thing. He was reading from a prompter, from a speech. Mm-hmm. The Anglo-Saxon part, Anglo-American part of it was him ad-libbing. The actual phrase was part of this country's heritage. No, the actual phrase was our legal heritage. So he added that part in. But with that being said, they tried to go back and say, well, he wasn't talking about anything racist. You know, he wasn't talking about, like, white people policing everyone. What he meant was sheriff is an Anglo-Saxon word.
Oh, sure.
And that it comes from the office of sheriff comes from Anglo-Saxon history, so he was just making a history reference, which is hilarious. Which let's say that was true. Let's say that wasn't trying to just, like, bury this man's white supremacy in some far historical argument. If that was true, it seems pretty suspicious that in front of a law enforcement group during Black History Month that you make a point of pointing out policing policing as Anglo-Saxon heritage.
Yeah.
Like, you don't. Either way, you're a racist. Like,
yes.
Jesus Beauregard. I'm waiting for somebody in this administration to just say the N-word.
Mm-hmm.
Just flat out say it. I'm waiting because I feel like it's getting closer. And Jefferson Beauregard, he would have been a key person to say it. I mean, his name implies it anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, Jeff Sessions, he says nigga a lot at home.
He doesn't pronounce it quite like that, though.
Yeah, no, he says it with the hard R.
Yeah.
I try not to shove the hard R in there too much because that hurts my spirit.
Yeah. But you got to make the distinction, right? Like that's the version that he says.
He says the
Yes.
But yeah, that's my news story. Like, goddamn Beauregard. Mm-hmm. And my side note is now anybody who's been paying attention to anything this week knows of the horrendous school shooting in Florida, and it sparked the same debate that happens, what seems like bi-weekly at this point, because it seems like school shootings are happening weekly or bi-weekly at this point.
There have been, so I haven't paid attention between the last one that hit the news and this one, but this one makes at least 12 since the beginning of 2018.
Yeah.
FYI.
So.
There may have been more that happened, but the last big one that hit the news before this one was 11 since the beginning of 2018. And that was the end of January.
Also, people, there's a number floating around that's 18. That number is not that's overinflated. The number 18 that they've been using as how many it's been since the years it is overinflated. It is about 12, as Esme said.
But still
that's
looking at
way too many.
Yeah, looking at where we are in the year, that's 2 per week.
Right. That's way too many. It's way too many. Like that's.
One is too many, frankly.
Yeah. But once again, it sparked the gun control debate, the mental illness debate, same debates we keep having over and over and over again when nothing gets solved. And what I wanted to say was, so when we're having this discussion, especially gun control, we talk, a lot of people go, the government needs to step in and pass gun control laws, and then the counter argument is a Second Amendment, blah 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 blah. Here's the thing, guys. For those who are advocating gun control, focus on your state representatives. Focus on your state government. Focus on your governor, your state legislator. If you want gun control laws passed, if you want laws passed by the government to make things safer for the public, and you want these ridiculous ass shootings to stop or at least lessen, because my God, it's too much. Focus on your state representatives. Focus on your state government, because here's the thing: the Second Amendment, as with just about everything in the Constitution, only applies to the federal government. The federal government will not pass gun control laws because it is unconstitutional. They cannot. The Supreme Court will strike those laws down. However, those things do not apply to the states. The states can pass laws controlling the sale of armed weapons. It is part of their state policing power. Okay. For example, and this is an example everybody uses, when the Black Panthers openly exercised their right to bear arms in California in the 1970s, California passed their most staunch gun control policy ever. Easily. Now that speaks to how we view gun control in this country and race in this country. But California did it without any pushback. There was no Second Amendment argument. That's because states can pass gun control laws. Yeah. If you want these laws passed, if you want to make a difference, put pressure on your state representatives.
Yep.
Don't worry about calling your federal senators. Don't worry about calling your federal representatives. Don't make pleas to the Cheeto in charge. Don't make pleas to any of those people. You get in your governor's ass. You get in your state senators, state representatives' ass. You get on them because they can pass those laws. They can make a difference.
Yeah.
So that's just my thing. For those advocating gun control, focus on the state. That's where your target should lie. And that's all I have to say on that. So with that, we're going to move into our topic segment. And topic segment is going to continue our Black History, not Black History, but our Black History Month themes. So enjoy after a brief musical interlude.
It is we who have picked the cotton for nothing. It is we who are the maids in the kitchens of liberal white people. It is we who are the janitors, the elevator men. It is we who sweep up your college floors. Yes, it is we who are the hardest workers and the lowest paid. And that it is nonsensical for people to start talking about human relationships until they're willing to build new institutions.
I wish I could give all my friends superpowers. Instead I have to give them flowers. It ain't the same, no. It ain't the same, no. It ain't the same, no. I wish I could give all my friends superpowers. Instead I have to give them flowers. It ain't the same, no. It ain't the same, no. It ain't the same, no. Fighting the powers that be, fighting the dark enemy. Who is the real enemy? Who is the person I see? Who am I? Who are they? Who are you? What is free? What is key? Where are we heading to? I'm confused. Watch the news, feel the blues. Watching news, feel the pain. Is this rain? Skies are clear, tears are near, fears are here. I just rap, let's go clap. Bullets fly, bodies drop, people die, cops they walk, faces talk. I confess, I'm depressed. This is stress. What is life? Meaningless? Not impressed. I'm not buying more in store. Can't give up. Not alone. Your love is the kind of person that I would probably die if you weren't around. I wouldn't get by. I'd probably get high and fall in the sky and fly to the ground and wake on my side with no one around but you. You've been the kind of person that I would probably die if you weren't around. I wouldn't get by. I'd probably get high and fall in the sky and fly to the ground and wake on my side with no one around but you. I wish I could give all my
And we are back to our topic segment this show, and today we're going to talk about definitions of blackness. Now, last week we talked about, black history and black excellence and why it's important. But this week I want to do a little thing about what is blackness, because as a black person, this always comes up on what it takes for someone to be considered black in America. And I'm saying specifically in America because this is where blackness in America is where we really have this conversation. In a lot of other cultures, things historically fell differently. Mm-hmm. So they don't have these conversations about what blackness is. A lot of other cultures, there is no. In a lot of other cultures, there is no black identity. There is national identity, or like country of origin identity. But in America, we have a very distinct notion of what it means to be black, which gets very complicated because black people themselves don't really know what it means to be black. Everyone has a different definition of what it means to be black, which always causes arguments, fights, tension, and turmoil. And I wanted to have other people on the show for this, but we couldn't quite get things worked out. But so for non-black people who are not in the know, Esme, do you know what colorism is?
Yeah, right. Like the policing of identity based on what color your skin actually is, rather than your racial or ethnic heritage.
Right. So what? And some people know this. The majority, I would think, a lot of non-black people don't know this, but there is a big distinction in the black community between lighter skinned black people and darker skinned black people, so historically, lighter skinned black people were always treated better because the way race has worked in this country for eons is that the closer you are to white, the better. This is how things done. But lighter skinned black people were always treated better, seen to be better than the darker skinned black people. And most of you've heard Malcolm X's "How Slave Feels Slave" comparison. That's a popular one. So over the years, of course, that tension just multiplied. And you constantly have this thing of darker skinned black people going, oh, lighter skinned people, you think you're better than the rest of us. Everyone thinks you're pretty. Everyone thinks you're better. All this stuff. And then you also get the fetishization of lighter skinned black people and fetishization of mixed black people, or interracial black people, let me say. And so you have all this tension. Even in my family personally, and it kind of worked itself out personally in my family by the time I was around, but for whatever reason. But there had been tension of certain family members treating their grandchildren let's say, differently because they had darker skin. Or even like treating some grandchildren better because they were light skinned compared to a darker skinned grandchild. And that caused a lot of resentment in the family. It caused a lot of resentment growing up for that grandchild or those grandchildren. So like this type of thing is pretty common. And that leads further into definitions of what blackness is. But because of that tension, now darker skinned black people are very likely to tell lighter skinned black people that they're not black. They're not black enough. Anyway. I mean, even growing up, I'm light skinned. If you haven't seen me, I'm light skinned. Sometimes I'm just fucking ridiculously pale. I sunburn, for fuck's sake.
It's true. I've seen it.
Oh my God. dark skin, my dark skinned brothers and sisters, man, I envy y'all sometimes because it's not fair being black and the sun still being your enemy. I want to go outside and absorb some radiation. Shit. I don't want to go outside and just be crispy. Shit. I
know you're not talking to me, Keem, but I'm just sitting here biting my tongue because I can go out for 5 minutes in the summertime and I come in red and peeling.
See, I'm not supposed to have to deal with that. From my ancestry, I'm not supposed to have to deal with that shit. Okay.
You're supposed to be exempt from that one?
Right. Only colonizers are supposed to sunburn.
That's the fair retribution, right?
Yep, fair retribution. So just bullshit. I envy my cousin. She my cousin. I love her to death. She is dark skinned, but she's not dark. She's not like super dark, but she's brown skinned. She's quite a bit darker than I am. And like I said, love her to death. But she is so proud of her skin. Like she is so proud of it. And even on my sister's phone, my sister's phone announces the caller ID. So her thing is brown skin princess with the brown skin. Can't stand her. I love her to death. Can't stand her. But there's growing up, my darker skinned cousins, my darker skinned friends always said, "Oh, you're not black. You're not black enough." And that had a really deep effect on me because I felt like I didn't belong at times. And this happens to, I know this happens to a lot of, like I said, interracial kids, happens to a lot of mixed race kids, and people, especially growing up, you get the feeling that you don't really belong anywhere because, of course, to everybody else that isn't black, you're black.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's just how it is. No matter how light your skin is, if people know you're black, you're black. That's only thing that matters. That one drop is the only thing that matters.
Yeah.
That's just how it is. So when that's the case, and then from black people you get, you're not black enough. You're not black. Go be something else because of the color of your skin, you're not black. You're left feeling like an alien. You're alienated from your own people, your own ethnicity, your own history, and you're automatically alienated from the rest of society because you are ethnic.
Mm-hmm.
So for me personally, that caused me to seek out what blackness was. And you ask somebody now, I am the blackety black man on the planet. Okay.
That is accurate.
I'm so pro-black that when other pro-black people get too ridiculous, I'm gonna go after them, because if you're doing something to hurt black people, even if it's under the guise of you helping black people, I am going for you, because that's what I'm supposed to do. That is what I'm about. So that's what that alienation did to me. It made me search out and embrace my blackness. So when other people said you're not black enough, I knew on the inside, no matter what you told me, that I'm black. And no matter what I do, I'm black, and I'm proud of being black. And I'm going to do anything in my power to help black people, even if they don't think I'm black enough. But but on the other hand, a lot of people don't have that reaction. A lot of lighter-skinned black people do just the opposite. They dismiss their blackness. They go, "Oh, I'm not black at all. I'm interracial. I'm multi-ethnic." I love on dating sites. Dating sites you see it a lot. If you go on, when somebody wants to divorce themselves from their blackness because of what they've been told, clearly black. But what you're going to see on their profile is multi-ethnic.
Yeah.
Or they'll list out, well, I'm African American, Irish, French, Native American, black. No proof for any of this, by the way. They just start throwing shit. They just start throwing like extra stuff in there because they want to get as divorced from blackness as possible. Because more than likely they've been told they weren't black enough, or that there's something wrong with them being black. That's another big one. When you're told that there's something wrong with you being black, so you need to divorce yourself from it. And when you combine those two, it creates this resentment of blackness, which you shouldn't have. You shouldn't resent your blackness. But attitudes of colorism on both sides breed this internalized anti-blackness. And with all that being said, it brings me back to the question: what is being black? What is blackness in America? So, and I'm gonna try to I'm gonna try to condense this sorta. So, what is generally considered black? To be honest, is created by American society. And as we know, American society is white supremacist. It's a white supremacist society. It's Eurocentric. And that Eurocentric society has always defined blackness as whatever is opposite to whiteness. So things that denote whiteness, the opposite will always be is considered blackness. That's just how it is. And so stereotypical blackness is still based on being the opposite of whiteness. And that poses some very big problems because, so, Esme,
Yes.
give me some things that you would say are people consider stereotypically black. What does a black person do? What kind of music do they listen to? Oh, how do they behave?
So this is okay. This is speaking directly from my experiences with my job, right? Mm-hmm. Which even unfortunately talking to some of my like coworkers about our students, right? They are uneducated. They don't moreover not just uneducated, but they don't care about education.
Right.
They are lazy. They are violent, especially the boys. All they want to do is listen to that violent music, and they are more prone to drug usage. And these are all things that I've heard teachers say about students, and it makes me really upset. But let's see what else. I don't know. I feel like that's enough to get you started.
Oh yeah. Okay. I'll tell you that. I mean that, and that's true. And that is very internalized in the black community. Very internalized. Very often, you even hear you need to listen to this, but if you're black, you need to listen to this and do that, and it's based on those ideas, those stereotypes, those very Eurocentric ideas of what blackness is. That has become the prevailing definitions of blackness in this country.
Do you want to hear a really interesting, relevant anecdote?
Go for it.
So this week I was witness to a conversation. Actually, I was part of this conversation. We were talking about tattoos, and it was me and a few of my students. And we were talking about tattoos, and one of them was talking about this tattoo that he wants to get, which is he's going to get it up and on his shoulder and on the back of his shoulder, right? Because he's going into the military, so it has to be able to be covered by his uniform. But so he was talking about it, and he's like, yeah, I want to get it based on this. And he pulled up a picture of a tattoo, and there was a full sleeve tattoo, but of course he can't do a full sleeve tattoo, but he's going to get it based on it. That was all full of like music stuff, right? There was like the music staff with the notes, and there was like a guitar thing on it, and there was all this stuff. And one of the kids looks at it and looks at the picture, looks at the kid and goes, "You are so white."
Oh yeah.
Because he wants to get a music themed tattoo.
Oh.
Which out of like this kid who wants to get this tattoo, like if there was ever a person who should get a music themed tattoo, it's this kid. Music is his entire life. Yeah. But
oh yeah. Oh no, I was gonna get onto exactly what you were getting at there. Yeah. It's just that with the negative stereotypes that are so ingrained in what is blackness that come from the outside, you get anything that doesn't fit into those stereotypes is considered whiteness.
Yeah.
So, what you just said? Oh, that's so white. Listening to music that isn't hip hop or R&B. I love hip hop and R&B. I mean, that's my shit. I listen to it every day. But if you listen to some alt rock or, oh my God, if you listen to country, your black card is revoked. It's gone. If you focus on education, then you're also not being black. one of the things I always hated was you talk white.
Yeah.
What the fuck does that mean? Like, because I enunciate a little better. That's really it. Because I am country as all hell. Admittedly, I am country as all hell. But my mom was a stickler for, like grammar.
Yeah, you speak standard English. You standard American English instead of AAVE.
Right. So, like, I've always told, well, you don't talk black. You talk white. What? That was always bullshit to me. That means nothing. Oh my God. So that another thing. This is another anecdotal story. A few months ago, I was going to a wrestling live show because I'm a big wrestling fan.
What, you?
Yeah. Well, people don't know that. Like, I don't talk about wrestling that much on this show.
But you do talk about it on this show.
Yeah. But I'm a huge wrestling fan. So we were going to a live show, and it was me, a white friend, and another black. Not a friend because I didn't know this person, but it was a friend of the white friend, and I was talking about going to a comic convention, and their response was, "Man, that nerdy stuff, yeah, that's just so white. Those superhero stuff is so white." I'm just like, why? Like, what makes that not black? And especially, and now that's even more like audacious to me because with Black Panther just coming out, and now every black person in the country is just like, yes, Black Panther, this black superhero, this black African superhero, it's like so amazing. When just a few months ago, I had someone tell me that it wasn't black to like comic books. It wasn't black to like superheroes. It wasn't black to be nerdy. And growing up, you heard a lot that if you were nerdiness was not black.
Yeah.
Which this will probably also be discussed next week, considering who's on the show.
Yes. Also into wrestling, also into comic books.
I will say, do you want to know the one like super nerdy thing that was considered black and still is? Dragon Ball Z. Dragon Ball Z is still straight up one of just like the blackest, like considered one of just the blackest shows, blackest nerdy things. I get it. Like I understand why.
Why? So I'm asking because I don't know anything about Dragon Ball Z except for the meme that's it's over 9,000. I know that.
So Dragon Ball Z especially, less with like the series it's based on, Dragon Ball, but Dragon Ball Z is the second series. It's pitched as the story about this basically this slave warrior race called the Saiyans.
Okay, this is already starting to make sense.
Mm-hmm. They're forced into slavery and basically become space pirates from this white dude, this white alien thing. And then they have their planet destroyed, and one of them comes to Earth and gets raised by Earthlings and all this stuff. But the thing about the Saiyans are one enslaved warrior race. They get stronger the more they fight, and they get stronger every time they almost die. So basically, they're defined by the pain they take.
Mm-hmm.
And they also get power from their pride. And Saiyans, like, of course, that harkens back to blackness all day.
Yeah.
Like, so I mean, I know a lot of people just don't really think about that, but it very much like draws black people, like especially young black males in,
Mm-hmm.
because it's like it's really empowering. Like you get a connection to these characters, unlike most other like superpowered characters.
Yeah.
And also the character of Piccolo in the show, Piccolo is this green, basically bipedal slug alien. They call them the Namekians. And Piccolo wears a turban, and he just exudes cool. And Piccolo's like, there's nothing that says he's black. But in our heart of hearts, every black person that watched Dragon Ball Z knew that Piccolo was black. He just sounded black. He had this demeanor of cool and like badass that was black. He wore a turban. Like, he would throw that shit when he got into a fight. He would just throw off his cape and turban and just like, I'm about to kick somebody's ass. Like, we just knew Piccolo was black. But yeah, that was like the one thing one nerdy thing growing up that was like, this is black. But other than that, even black superheroes weren't considered black. Like, you couldn't, like, no one knew, like, most of the general black populace didn't there was no fervor over Luke Cage and Black Panther and Jon Stewart, the Black Green Lantern, who are these black characters that are just celebrated now, but growing up, like, liking that stuff wasn't black. It just wasn't. Anything that wasn't stereotypically, even the way you dressed, like, I've been told I wasn't black enough because I didn't dress black, because I wear polos, which I'm getting out of polos, but like,
I love you and I support your ability. I support your right to wear anything that you want to, but I'm glad you're moving away from the polos.
But I wear polos and button-ups and like fitting pants most of the time because when I can afford them.
Ooh,
like fitting pants.
I know what I'm going to start. I know what I'm going to start buying for you.
Oh, nice.
Sorry, I need to get your size so I can start buying you clothes.
And t-shirts, like nerdy t-shirts, like that's what I wear, and like vests and stuff. Because I have my own style. But I've been told before that I don't dress black. Somebody told me that I didn't smell black one day.
I don't understand that. What does that mean? What does that mean?
This girl looked me dead in the eye and said, "You don't smell like a black guy."
I don't know what that means.
I was like, what? What does a black guy smell like? And she's like, well, she's trying to describe it. She's trying to describe what it smells like this cologne and like menthol. And I was like, so you're telling me black guys smell like menthol cigarettes and cheap cologne?
I don't know.
But like, seriously, there like, somebody said that to me one day. I didn't smell black. Like, what the fuck? Like, and that was, and I started coming up with all these like scenarios. Like, what does black people smell like? Do we smell like fried chicken and cooking oil? We just smell like soul. Like, it's fucking insane to me what, like, all of these things that people tell you are not black. And people confine blackness to such a rigid, just a rigid structure of what is okay and what is not okay. One of the biggest things in my life that people have always used since becoming it, have always used to try to eliminate my blackness, is my atheism. Because Christianity is so deeply etched into Black American culture that it boggles the mind of other black people when you're not Christian. And the funny thing is, a lot of older black males especially are really not Christian. A lot of older black males usually stop going to church. And they usually have a belief that God may or may not exist, but it doesn't really matter. Or they'll go to church on Easter, like Easter and Christmas, just because maybe God does exist and they need to throw something out there every once in a while. But that's it. But if you openly were to say, I do not believe in God, I am not a Christian, you are immediately divorced from blackness. And considering the history of Christianity and blackness in America and what Christianity did, Christianity has been one of the major forces that has both kept black people in servitude in America and also gave them something to do. And it's always difficult I always find it difficult discussing religion and stuff with other black people, because once they find out I'm an atheist, everything I say or do from that point on as a black person, they will discount it. It doesn't matter, because you're not a Christian, you're not black. So there are all these very rigid structures on what is blackness in the black community. But what I'm here to say, and the whole point of this show today, is the fact that blackness is not rigid. Blackness is not defined from without. Blackness is not what has been imposed upon us by white society.
Yeah, and it's not monolithic, right?
Right.
It's not just one thing.
Exactly. It's not. We're not homogenous. And
yeah.
I have been on this over and over and over again for the past couple months. Black people in America, it's like, and this, I'm not speaking for Africans and black people all over the world, because like I said, that's different cultures, different ethnicities. It's different. But black people in America and blackness in America is not homogenous. We are not all the same. Blackness is expansive. You can be nerdy and be black. You can like whatever music and be black, because you decide what blackness means to you. Because there are some things that tie all black people in America together. Those things are history. History. We share the same history. We share treatment. There may be varying degrees of how you're treated, but as black people, we have the same history of treatment. when a police officer pulls you over as a black person, you can guess how you're going to be treated. Doesn't matter how what you like or what your skin color is. A light-skinned black person and a dark-skinned black person get pulled over by a police officer. They don't care what you look like. You are black.
Yeah.
So you share treatment. You share treatment. You share history. Most of us share areas where we live. Black people live together. We live in areas with other black people. And even black people who are in more affluent neighborhoods generally tend to congregate towards other black people in those areas. We share things. We share things as black people. And then from those points, other points, we embrace our blackness personally. Like I said, you can be black and be nerdy. You can be black and like country music. You can be black and dark skin. You can be black and light skin. You can be any of the bouquet of colors, because black people are a bouquet. We come in so many damn different colors, it's ridiculous. My family, I love my family to death because we range from dark to damn near paper white. My great uncle, before he passed away, he looked like a white dude. If you didn't know any better, you would have like, that's a white guy. He looked like this tall old white man. But if you ever called him a white man, he would beat your ass. He did not fuck around. He did not fuck around when it came to that type of stuff. And that was because back in the day, being in Mississippi, when he was married to a black woman because he was black, people did not realize he was black. So one day his wife got sick, like deathly ill, and he took her to go get medicine in rural Mississippi, and he went in and they had been serving him fine, the medicine just fine, when he would go get it by himself. But when they found out, they questioned why he had the black woman in the car, and he said, "That's my wife." And they were like, "Well, why that's your wife? That doesn't make any sense. Why are you married to a black woman?" And he goes, "What do you mean, why am I married to a black woman? I'm black." And they refused to serve him from that point on, and his wife almost died.
It's awful.
So like I said, it's no matter what the color of your skin is, we share treatment.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I had a heated discussion with somebody a while back about whether or not Obama counted as African American, because his dad was like actually from Africa, right? Like he didn't have the same history that we think of black people in America having, right? The history of slavery and all of that we think is such a defining characteristic of blackness in America. And I was going to say, my argument was it doesn't matter to the person who pulls him over, right? Obama is black. It doesn't matter because so go ahead.
I was just going to say, now that gets difficult. Obama gets difficult, and African immigrants get difficult because there is a treatment difference. There is a treatment difference in African immigrants and African Americans. African immigrants get treated better. And this is not even just an American thing. This is a global thing. It really is. It's a global thing. Uh, Statistics show that African immigrants have better access to education. They're more likely to succeed in education. Uh, they're going to have more avenues for wealth because they're not considered black. They're considered to be African immigrants. And an immigrant and a black person are different.
But I wonder how much, like, how does that carry generationally, right? Like for Obama, who was an American citizen, like how much of that does he continue to have access to?
Well, and here's the thing.
I don't know.
And this is from Obama's words himself. Obama said he did not have any experience as a African American, like until he married Michelle.
Okay.
Like,
and I mean, he's a special case anyway, right? Because his father was an immigrant and his mom is white, and he was raised by his mom. So.
And he is a part of one of the like most powerful political families in the country. So that earns you some credits, but there is actually major differences in I would say first and second generation African immigrants.
Okay.
Once you start mixing in a little bit, it gets less so. But African immigrants do they have better treatments, better avenues to wealth. There is and this is why I also have a problem with black Americans, descendants of the African diaspora, latching on to quote unquote African culture so hard because there is such a difference between the way Africans are treated and the way African Americans are treated.
Yeah.
Because generally, like even in Africa, a lot of African cultures and countries consider African Americans to be the descendants of slaves, as opposed to them who are the descendants of upper class people. And that puts you in a different class of people. I've even heard in some European countries they go, well, he's African, at least he's not American. Sorry, I'll be very clear as what I've heard. At least he's not a nigger.
Yeah.
And that's another thing that ties blackness in America. That word. As much as we hate it, that ties us all together. Because when somebody calls you a nigger with a hard R, you know what they mean. And you know where they just put you.
Yeah.
Like I said, I've heard that a lot. That there's a difference between an African and yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, my point is, like I said, blackness is not homogenous. It's not the same. It's not something that's the same. It's different, and you get to decide what your blackness means. You do. Every single black person gets to decide what their blackness means, and no one can tell you you're not black and that you something you're doing is not black, because that is up to you. It is up to you to have your pride in your blackness, and it's up to you to decide that. And as long as you're not hating your blackness, then there's no problem.
Yeah.
Because it is something to be proud of. We'll talk about this more next week. But I enjoy going to Black Panther this weekend. because it was amazing seeing so many black people being so proud in their blackness. And it wasn't just a specific kind of blackness. It was black people of all walks, of all thinking, of all different kinds of life, coming in and being proud of their blackness. You had black people in African garb. You had black people in comic book shirts. You had black people just regular off the street. You had people coming in church clothes. All right? I came in some nice button-up shirt, a bow tie, some suspenders, and a fur coat. Came in clean as hell. Because that was me. That was my blackness. That's my blackness. I'm cool. You know? But everybody came in, they were doing their own thing, and they were proud to be black. I walked out. So the first show I went to was sold out. And it was sold out because a school had gotten it. School had gotten the theater. And there were black kids, little black and brown kids. And you could clearly tell some nice, like Hispanic kids. They were walking in wearing their crowns. Because that day they were proud to be black. Mm-hmm. You know? And that brought me great joy because it wasn't blackness going into that movie. Blackness wasn't so rigid. It wasn't so, man, you can't enjoy this. You're not black, or so. Going to that movie, everybody, no matter, like every black person going to that movie was proud of their black, like was proud and happy to be black. And when they walked out of that movie, they were empowered even more. It made black people feel good. God damn, we need it. Like, black people right now in this country, we need to feel good about our blackness. Yeah. Because it has been a rough couple years. Like, it's always been rough. Just to be honest, it has never not been rough for black people in this country. Never. And it may never will be. But for the past couple of years, it has been so hard. It has been sad to be black. Mm-hmm. Because we are bombarded every day with people, with seeing our people, our brothers and sisters being killed and shot and demeaned, and just we're fought every day of we get pictures every day of black folks going out and fighting just to be considered human and being ignored. Mm-hmm. They hyped us up, and they hyped us up with 8 years of Obama, and then to see the country push back so hard just because a black face had been in the White House. I'll remind people that Obama didn't do anything that was like, oh my God, he destroyed the country. He didn't do anything that was like that. There were no huge scandals. Obama didn't do anything that was just like earth-shattering bad to America. But America was so just incensed by seeing a black face in the White House that they pushed back hard against it and elected this crispy, crunchy ass Cheeto motherfucker in there. And then they've been on a mission to make it as hard as possible to be black in this country. So right now we need to feel good in our blackness. And we need to not be trying to govern other black people and tell them they're not black. Mm-hmm. We need to stop. We need to not take that away from people, because we need to feel good in our blackness. We need to get power through that. there's been a lot of argument over whether Afro-Latinx people should be considered black. And yes, I firmly believe that, and not firmly believe, it's true. They are black. They are very black. Their blackness is theirs, and we cannot take that away from them. They do share the same history as we do. Their culture might be a little bit different, change a little bit, but they still share the things that tie us all together.
Mm-hmm.
And just to be real, man, so much of what is blackness in America comes from Afro-Latinx culture. If it wasn't for Afro-Latinx people, there would be no hip-hop.
That is true.
Because hip-hop came out of the Afro-Latinx community in New York.
Yep.
That's exactly where it came from.
Straight from the Bronx.
So you can't stop trying to take away their blackness just because they can speak Spanish. Man, I wish I could speak Spanish properly. I took 4 years of Spanish. I can't speak shit. But like I said, we have to stop. We have to stop trying to take black people's blackness away from them. Whether they're light, dark, Afro-Latinx, Afro-Asian.
Less common.
Less common, but still a lot. Look at Tiger Woods' ass. Also, tell you something interesting about racial mixing. With every ethnicity in America, there are black people of those ethnicities, of those, like, not ethnicities, but like sections.
Yeah.
I don't want to say races, sections. So, like, there are people who are basically the black people of that section. So there are black people of Asians, and that's generally Filipino. Like, there are black people of white people.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and correct you a little bit, just because Filipino are Pacific Islanders, not Asian.
Well, yeah, okay.
Just saying. Right, like in America, we lump them together way too often, but they're actually really different.
Well, I'm going by the American bullshit because that's. But you know, look, but as I go on, and Korean actually, and Korean, because they're, man, the Korean are the black people of Asians.
Which is weird considering how, like, that Koreans, out of all of the Southeast Asian countries, are most famous for the extreme lengths that they go to appear more white.
That's in Korea.
That is true.
Koreans in America are very tied to the black community.
Okay, I'll buy that.
That's and I've always wondered why. Because they're like Korean grocers and hair stores. Just about every hair store I've ever been to in black communities are run by Koreans. Almost every one. And almost all of them have a couple little half Korean black babies running around. But I digress. And the black people of white people, Armenians.
See, now you're just quoting the lyrics from that song.
No, but no, it's true. It's lyrics from a song, but it's true.
For those of you who don't listen to the same music that Keem and I do, we're talking about
Gambino.
Freaks and Geeks.
It's Gambino. But he mentioned that in the song. But I actually, not long after that song came out, there was a class where I learned about that. And generally, those groups in their respective areas, we'll go with areas, because I don't want to say like races, because it's bullshit. It's not a thing. But in their respective areas, regions generally tend to mix with interracially mix with black people more. So for white people, it's actually Italians and Armenians.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, Italians, Armenians, and Jewish people. There's a lot of intermixing between Jewish people and black. But that's because black Americans tie so much into Christianity, especially the Old Testament.
Yeah.
We draw a lot of comparison to the quote unquote history of the Jewish people. And I say quote unquote because religious texts and historical actuality are different things. But it's weird to me, like black people in our place in society generally mix more often with the black people of other regions, like the ones who occupy the lower places of those regions.
Yeah.
So, but what I was getting at from that is, for like interracial or mixed race kids and stuff, don't take away their blackness either, just because they have like other things mixed in there. And on that subject, black people. All right. Most of us who are descendants of the African diaspora, most of us have something else mixed in. Something. That's just a reality of how things happen. Okay? So trying to take someone's blackness by saying they're mixed with someone else, motherfucker, you mixed with something else. Like, we didn't get these color gradients just by mating with other Africans. All right. We did. There's reasons you and your cousins all look different, and that's because there's been a lot of other blood mixed in. So y'all can come out just about any fucking color in the world, because your blood is muddled as a motherfucker, and that's a good thing. Honestly, yeah. Because mixing of cultures, mixing of different genetic variation makes you more viable. Like biologically makes you more viable. It helps breed out diseases, like genetic diseases, helps breed out genetic defects. It helps. Like humans, there's a reason humans like spread out and have sex and stuff with different humans. It's because it helps us survive as a population. But don't stop taking away people's blackness. All right? Just stop. If you are black, be proud to be black. If you are black, don't take away somebody else's blackness. Let's just be black and excellent and be loud about it. Because damn it, we need it. We need to come together We need to draw closer in our blackness instead of pushing apart. We should be celebrating who we are. And we should be encouraging who we are. Because the more visible we are in our blackness, the more the rest of the world will see it. Mm-hmm. And just to be real, when we start celebrating our blackness, other people will start celebrating it too. Because as much as I've seen so much, especially white pushback, when black people become proud of who they are and start celebrating, with as much pushback I see, I also see a lot of white people and people of other ethnicities looking at black people when they're proud of their blackness and going, that is fucking beautiful. And they support it.
Yep.
And that is what we need. Like if we hope to make things better for us one day, which is what we all should be hoping for, that's what we need. We need to be looking at each other and being proud of who we are, and looking at other people and being proud of who they are, and we need to be celebrating each other. So that's blackness to me. Blackness is it's a beautiful, wide, crazy, amazing, diverse thing. And God damn it, you should love it. And I'm done.
And you're done.
And I'm done.
That's such a great place to leave it that I'm not even going to circle back around to the other thing that I was going to bring up. Plus, now we're at an hour and 20 minutes. So, but yeah.
All right. Sex segment, and then we can...
Sex segment. Let's go. Did you catch that I just did? Never mind. Never mind. All right. So, we're going to come back into the sex segment after another brief musical interlude. Enjoy.
Like I think I do, and I can't afford simple thrills, so I treat my money a lot like you do. I would always think that if I would, then I could and I should work for your restaurant. I would always see who applied. When not me, but I always questions about my history. I wish you won't ask. I would always think that everything would line up so right. Without a fighting competition was a city premonition, but this is life, and it's for the living. I was so sure I've applied to many hearts, but now I'm getting tired of riding the bus down the door. Was it arrogance or impatience that got me rejected or worked so hard and I got so far? I worked so hard that even without a job, feel like I need a day off. I don't wanna waste my time trying to figure out how long will I stay and which one it will be. I don't wanna waste my time trying to figure out how long will I stay and which one it will be.
And welcome back, everyone, to the sex segment. So today I'm keeping it light. This past week, good Lord, has it only been this past week? This whole week, I don't know what has happened this week, guys. I have no idea what happened this week. But this past week, we celebrated possibly the most American holiday that has ever existed, which is Valentine's Day.
Columbus Day. Damn it.
Oh, Jesus. I know, right? No, right, which is Valentine's Day, which, okay, whatever, comes from an early, like, what is it? Comes from a Roman celebration, which then became an early Christian celebration, nominally, right? But then actually, like, the way that we celebrate it now was actually completely created by the American greeting card industry, right?
Kind of like Christmas, but go on.
Right. No, I'm not
Halloween.
saying I'm not saying that modern Christmas is any better, but I'm saying, like, this is a made up holiday that is made up. But that being said, so I don't really do Valentine's Day, but I know that you kind of do Valentine's Day. But this is all a big roundabout way of saying that I bought you a sex toy for Valentine's Day.
That did happen.
That totally did happen. And I could press you for exactly, like, what you liked about, like, anyway. I don't even know if you've tried it yet. I have no idea.
I did try it.
Oh yeah, what did you think? I'm super interested to know.
Okay, couple observations.
Yes.
One, it felt good. Felt really good. Secondly, and this is gonna get real personal. So hold on, listeners. It made my penis very veiny.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's what, so for the record.
I noticed what it does, but Jesus Christ, that was intense.
Yeah, no, that's what it does, right? So for the record, for our listeners, like this isn't actually the main point of the sex segment, but what I had bought it was a cock ring, but instead of just being like a ring, like you normally expect a cock ring to be, it was like it's like a, shoot, what is it like? Right? It's like a silicone piece, but then it's got a slider on it so that it's super easy to adjust how tight the ring is, right? So you don't have to like squish everything through a single ring, and there's no trying to decide what size you need to get, right? For whatever you want to do with it, right? It's just like one thing, and then you can slide it to be the tightness that you want, which is super cool. And I had never seen it before, and I found it, and it was not very expensive, and I was like, yes, that's what I need to buy for Keem. But yeah, it was a super unique thing that I'm really sad that I didn't get to try out with you, which you need to bring it when you come down to visit so that I can try it out with you. But yeah, so that's what it was, right? But, yeah, so I was super, yeah, like I'm really excited. I'm really glad that you liked it. I suspected that you would, but it was too cool and too unique for me to not buy it for somebody, right? Like, if I didn't have a partner, like I found it. And the reason that I found it was specifically because I was looking for something for you for Valentine's Day. Like I stumbled upon it, which on this website, it's the website, the store that I bought it from is actually the point of the sex segment today, which we're going to get to in a second. But, I stumbled upon it, but if I didn't have any partners to buy it for, there's a real chance I would have bought it just to have it, because it is made of silicone and non-porous plastic, so it would be extremely easy to sanitize. It's one of those that you could share from person to person if you wanted to. Like it's sanitized with bleach, right? You can't boil it because of the plastic. Silicone is boilable, but you can't boil plastic because it'll melt and deform. But you can soak it in bleach and it'll sanitize. FYI for our listeners. But it's so cool. And I had never seen anything like that before that has the adjustable slider on it that you can do whatever tightness you need for the thing that you're using it for. So anyway, really, really glad that you liked it. But the point of the sex segment is the store that I bought it from. And the place that I got it from, which I went to specifically because I know that they only stock body safe toys, is a store called Smitten Kitten. They do have a physical location. They're located in Minnesota. For those of our listeners who are in Minnesota, I know a couple of people who live in Minnesota. I don't know if they listen to our podcast. I would be flattered if they did listen to our podcast, frankly, because they're big into the podcasting scene themselves. But so Smitten Kitten does have a physical location in Minnesota, but they have a website. But so this store is like my sex toy store crush. Like when I open a sex store, I want to be just like them. Like I said, they only stock items that are body safe, that are sanitized, I don't know if I think that they do stock TPE products, which you can't sanitize them, but they're non-toxic. So they are porous. TPE is porous. We've talked about this before. That's what the Tenga products are made of. Particularly lots of strokers, right? Like lots of penis toys are made of TPE because it is so soft and flexible. Not sanitizable. It's porous, but it's body safe. But they only stock safe products, right? All of the lubes that they carry are body safe. They don't have glycerin. They don't have parabens. All of the toys that they stock are safe. They don't have toys with questionable materials. It's all metal and glass and hard plastic and silicone and all of that. So anything that you get from them has an extremely low chance of causing a negative reaction with your body. It's not going to make you sick. It's not going to be one of those weird, questionable things that causes problems. Any lube or condoms or anything that you get is going to be, it's going to be verified that it's body safe, unless you're allergic to like latex or something, unless you're allergic to a specific material in there. But everything that they carry is, it's stuff that you know what's in it, right? It doesn't have like questionable ingredients. And the other thing that I love so much about this store is that they are heavily focused on education, right? So Smitten Kitten is the store that has put out the vast majority of the literature that's out there about lube and lube ingredients, right? And osmolality and pH and how those things can affect how lube reacts with your body, right? They partnered with now I need to look it up because I don't remember. But they were one of the driving forces behind most of the literature that's out there, right? Like anybody who gives any information about this, about lube, especially when it comes to talking about things like osmolality, almost all of them refer back to the literature that's put out there by Smitten Kitten. So they're heavily education focused. They offer resources. If you're up in Minnesota, they offer classes and resources. They have services. They've got all this stuff that goes on. And some of the stuff that is super exciting that they're doing a lot of, so I follow them on Facebook, so I catch all the stuff, but they have a lot of stuff that's really exciting that they're doing right now, where they are doing things like, they offer customer service resources. Like they have people on staff in their store who are fluent in Spanish. So if you are more comfortable communicating with somebody in Spanish, you can go in and have somebody help you in the language that you're most comfortable in. They have people on staff now that they're really pushing right now. They have people on staff who can help serve customers in ASL. So if you're deaf, you can go in. This store is heavily focused on education, heavily focused on health and safety, heavily focused on true, like actual accessibility, right? For everybody. This is something that they do for everybody. Their tagline on their website, which I'm looking at right now, it says a progressive sex toy store for everyone, right? And they really are committed to doing this, right? This is something that they are like, it's central to who they are as a company. And I really love them. I've loved them for a long time. And they are really committed to they are one of the driving forces in making sure that they're holding the sex toy industry to be accountable for the things that they're putting into these things, right? They want to make sure that the toys that are coming out are safe. They're one of the driving forces on like consumer protection in this industry and awareness, so that people know what they're getting and they know that they're buying things that are going to be safe. And it's super awesome. The partnership that they have, by the way, I looked it up. The partnership that they have with the lube and the safe, they have got a safe shopping guide. They've got lube resources. They've got toy testing resources, is called badvibes.org. And that's a partnership that they've done. They are one of the driving forces behind that, to make sure that consumers can know what's in their stuff, right? They own that. So, Smitten Kitten is amazing. Their website, So if you're looking for education about toys and lubes, and go to badvibes.org. If you're looking to buy toys or lubes or anything that you know are safe, that you know are going to be like body safe and frankly pretty awesome. They stock a lot of really cool stuff. Go to smittenkittenonline.com. And they're not paying me to say this. I wish they were paying me to say this. That would be great. I would love that. But they are an incredible store who's doing incredible things, and you should know about them.
And if you mention this podcast, no, I'm just like,
I don't know. If you mention
but-
this podcast, say that I said amazing things about them and that they should sponsor us.
Trying to get that sponsorship.
Something. I frankly, I like if we focused more on the sex, like there's a number of sponsorship things that we probably could get, which I've thought about looking into. That might be upcoming. I don't know if they do an easy sponsorship partnership like that, but I know several of the companies that I've talked to, or several of the companies that I've talked about, do sponsorship things like that. But in any case, so I don't care. Go to Smitten Kitten, support them, please, because they are incredible. So yeah, that's my spiel about Smitten Kitten. And also go to badvibes.org and read up. I have talked about toy safety in the past. I've talked about lube and lube safety, and the resources that they put out, frankly, that's where most of my information comes from, and they explain it way better than I can, frankly. So, so go look at their stuff. Go look at their stuff, and then go tell everybody that you know to go look at their stuff, because this is the industry will change when the consumers demand that it changes. And until there's a word that I'm looking for. I don't know. Until the consumers demand that these like harmful ingredients and until consumers demand that the industry change, it's not going to change. But if the industry sees that there's a demand for it, it will start to change, right? The lube that gets produced will start to meet the standards for body safety. These things will change if consumers demand that it changes. Right now, it's so bad. I don't know. This is a whole other rant. I don't know if I've talked about this on the podcast before. I think that I have, right? When we're talking about lube specifically, one of the things that we talk about is osmolality, which is, so you know about osmosis, right? Right. Where water moves through a membrane to create a similar, solution on either side, where depending on how much water is in the lube that you have, like you want it to be a neutral osmolality to where the amount of water is similar in the lube is similar to what's inside the cell membranes that you're putting similar to the cells that you're putting it on. But it's so rarely that is so rarely the case, to the point where for the vast majority of the lubes that are commercially available, putting that on a mucous membrane, like inside a vagina, like will pull water out of those cells, which kills them. And, or is it the other way around? I don't remember. But in any case, like it's extremely bad. It can cause massive irritation, and it puts you at risk for infection, because it's basically destroying the cells that are lining the surface of the mucous membrane that you're putting it on. But it's so pervasive and so poorly understood that even like the lubes that are used when you go to like the gynecologist, though, like those lubes are the same ones that cause problems, right? Like KY jelly is like the one that's probably the most commonly used in hospitals or in doctors' settings, in medical settings. And it's so bad for you. It's so bad for you. right? It causes so many problems, but it's so poorly researched and so poorly understood. And like, it's just not something that has ever been considered by so many people that like this, and it's a whole problem. It's a whole problem. So look, research it. Like I said, the Smitten Kitten, badvibes.org lays it out way better than I possibly can. And yeah, check it out, please. Please do. That's my rant. Go to smittenkittenonline.com for shopping or badvibes.org for education and check out their stuff. Follow them on Facebook. They're incredible.
Check it out, guys.
Yes, check it out.
Yep.
All right, that's my rant.
Trying to get that sponsorship, yo. No.
I don't even care at this point. Like, I use this. Sponsorship would be great. Having some money coming in would be great. Whatever. I don't care. I will plug these guys for free because they are doing amazing things in the sex toy industry, and more people need to know about it.
It also reminded me that I need to get some lube.
Get some lube. What kind of lube?
I don't know.
Cheap lube?
You tell me what kind of lube.
Go to Walgreens, find the green tube. It says "Good Clean Love" on it. Buy that.
How much is that?
If you can find, like, it's reasonably priced for body safe, right? Like, the big tube, I think, is $10, but if you can find a smaller tube, like, it'll be cheaper. It's more expensive. It's more expensive than KY, but it's cheaper than most of the other body safe stuff.
I'll have to check that out.
Yes.
All right. That brings us to the end of our show. Thanks to our musical guest this week. We guys, if you know any artists that would like to be featured
Yes.
on our show, because we're super busy and we have not been able to go out and meet people like we used to.
Yeah.
We just do not have the time. So if anybody wants to have their music featured, please contact us and we will put you on, hopefully.
No, not hopefully. If you contact us, we will put you on. We will put you on.
The hopefully was contacting us.
Oh, yes.
Same thing. If you would like to be on the show, please contact us. We would love to have you on. We love to talk stuff with you.
Yep.
Next week, guys, for those of you who haven't seen Black Panther these first week and you got a whole nother week to see it, we will be doing a Black Panther review.
Yeah, and spoiler alert, we're going to be talking about it in some detail, I'm sure.
So, yeah.
So,
spoiler
alert for next week.
Yeah.
Spoilers all day, every day.
So, yeah, go out and see Black Panther beforehand so you're not spoiled, because we don't want you to miss the show.
Yes. Also, stay tuned in the next couple of weeks, either next week or the week after. We're going to be doing an artist interview with last week's featured artist, Jarif Green, because he has some really exciting stuff coming out in the next few weeks, and I want to make sure to talk to him about it before it all happens. So stay tuned for that.
All right. Well, that will be the end of our show. Links will be provided as always. And this has been Keem and Esme, and we are out.
But there are these things that matter, and they really fucking matter. There's like 4 things that matter, and they really fucking matter. I mean, objectively, I mean, you should care, especially you, if you thought about it for 5 fucking minutes.